Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode here for Banish the Doubt. I am George McNamara and I bow to the light that is inside of you. I just want to, real quick before I get to the reason for this video, people have asking me, the people that I coach say, hey, what do you mean when you say you bow to the light? We're all at our core. We are nothing more than a collection of molecules, source energy. Call it God consciousness. Some call it universal consciousness, but it's who we are. It's where we came from. And we are connected to that. I would like for you to think of some sort of a connection, let's say electrical connection or current, or a connection, okay, from two different things. But that middle connection is corroded. It's got a lot of rust, corrosion on it. And a lot of that is from stored energy that we suppress. So you see, like for instance, myself growing up, my dad never told me he loved me, which some people may say, oh, that's horrible. And on a certain level, that was difficult for him, obviously. But because of how he was raised, you didn't share or show emotions, at least not audibly. He showed it through other ways. But a lot of his issues, if you will, came from, and alcoholism, specifically that came from this stored energy, his inability to be able to communicate that, which was traumatic to him. So I want to share with you something that I saw recently that helps to sort of further illuminate this. And it says simply here, let it pass. One of the most powerful skills to build is to let an emotion pass without attaching, this is the key part, without attaching a story to it. If you attach to the negative story that can come with an emotion, you attach to a perspective that isn't fully true. Let me repeat that again. If you attach to the negative story that can come with an emotion, you attach to a perspective that isn't fully true. If a negative exists, the positive exists too. Let the emotion pass without attaching to the immediate thoughts or stories. Let an emotion pass. In my previous videos, you'll notice that I talk about that, allowing an emotion to go through us, not suppressing it, not trying to control it, not attaching a story to it. Just allow it to pass. And as you do this, you will literally feel the energy pass through you. Because we are all connected in this universe. Energy just moves around and it moves through us. What wells up inside of us when a stimulus or an energy goes through us is these stories, is this stored energy from inside. And it triggers us. It triggers the story that we've suppressed inside of us. So let me continue with this quote. Let the emotion pass without attaching to the immediate thoughts or stories, and refrain from acting reactively. Again, if you see in my previous videos, you'll see that I talk about reacting versus responding. The emotion will pass, and the higher perspective will come. This is a skill that changes everything. And it is a skill, and you've heard me talk about, and I will repeat it here in this video, the skill of reducing what's referred to as a refractory period. It's the time between when a stimulus takes place and the amount of time it takes for us to get to that point where we understand what the emotion was about. When we allow the energy to go through us, when we recognize, and many of us have done this, I know I have done it many times in my past, say things such as, I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry I said that. I shouldn't have said that. That's us attaching a story or trying to control or hanging on to something that happened. Now, apologizing, if somebody took it as, something that hurt them, closure is very good, but then we allow it to pass. We kind of get rid of it. We don't hang on to it. Many people in our society who can't seem to, what we refer to as, get ahead. Maybe financially, they only operate to at a certain level. Many times I'll ask my clients, coaching clients, tell me what was the highest amount of income that you generated, not made. See, there's a misnomer in this in our society as well. How much money do you make? You don't make money. You generate. You don't earn it either. You generate money. Money is frequency. Okay. So the higher the amount of money you're generating you're reaching certain higher levels of frequency. Nothing good or bad about it. Just you're able to reach higher levels, frequency level. Money operates at certain levels of frequency. So I'll ask them, and they'll tell me, and they'll give me a perspective as to where they're thinking, but their self, how they identify with themselves. What's the story that they tell themselves about their life, themselves? And a lot of these stories that generate in us, I mentioned earlier that we're all source energy. We're all part of the same source energy. But it's the first 7 years and 3 months of our existence that is the most formulative. In those last 3 months of pregnancy, in the first 7 years of our existence, many of our stories were programmed into us about what was mom and dad, but mostly mom, because we're connected to mom. What was her story about herself? What was the life like that she was living, the environment she was living in? Was it very harmonious? Was money an easy flow in and out? Was there a flow to the money? Was there an understanding that we generate money? That the more we give out, the more we receive? Was there a certain what was a relationship like with money? What was a relationship like with themselves in regards to their own health? What type of energy or energies did they keep suppressed? So we come into this environment, and we are also enculturated within those first 7 years. The Jesuit faith has been telling their followers now for over 500 years, give me a child from birth until age 7, and I will give you the adult. Why would they say that? Because they know or knew and still know that those first 7 years are the years, just like this computer. I couldn't reach you via this computer, via this video, if it wasn't programmed to allow this to happen. So again, a person who has reached a certain level, generating a certain level of income, we can discern, we can get an idea of what their relationship with themselves is. And they're looking to transcend this level and open their awareness, or to stretch out their awareness. So we work with them on that. So it's really letting the emotion pass, allowing it to come through us, and then looking back and being able to discern, what is the genesis of this reaction? Where did it come from? And the three areas that I talk about in my previous videos, and I'll talk about them again here, are based on that event stimulus, what must I believe about myself? What must I perceive about myself and my reality? And what must I assume what must I assume about myself and this thing I call my reality that has me in a reactionary pose, if you will, to what just happened versus responding. The more that I can um, heal this relationship with myself, nobody else, with myself, that changes the belief I have in myself, which changes the perception and the assumption that I have about myself, and then the reality that is around me. And the opportunities to generate more money are there now. They appear. The people who can help coordinate this income, this generating higher incomes up here, they're there. They're already there. They've been there. They always will be there. You see, whatever it is that you're desiring, you desire it because on a certain level you've already connected. You're starting to notice that connection. And going back to when I first started with this video, is as we start to do this connection to source energy, the corrosion I talked about, the rusting starts to fall away. And we notice it, and you'll start to notice it as I have in little subtleties such as the type of foods that you choose to no longer eat or consume as much of. Maybe your addictions to alcohol or caffeine or sex or whatever it may be, they start to wane. You start to not to have the need for that anymore because you're healing. Your body is healing. You see, if I were to cut myself here on my hand, okay, and it would start to bleed, well, if I just, I kind of cleaned it off and I just observed it over time, it will heal. Body will heal itself. If I just let it alone, if I don't try to control the healing, my body source, the energy within the universe will heal that cut. It's the same thing that we're talking about, these suppressed emotions. If we just let them go, allow the body to heal itself, let go of that, allow the energy to pass. And I'll end this video with one more quote that I recently came across that helps to illustrate and kind of bring closure to this video. And it goes simply like this: you are connected to your higher being at all times. That source, that connection to source I talked about. Meaning, you are capable of divine intervention with all the things you're looking to advance in your life. When you turn the faucet on in your bathroom, the water is allowed to flow. Much the same way, when you silence the distracting thoughts and emotions, source runs through you. So simply allow the emotion to run through you. Have a great day.